All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Garibaldi is coming on, and you are punctual, my friend. We're back. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Doing good. Let me turn this up a little bit. There we go.
Okay, so where are you? Are you in Sacramento?
I am, yeah. I was born in LA, but I grew up here in Sacramento. It's always been home. Still here in Sacramento. Still
And
love it.
you were quarantined there.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I'm either quarantined at home or in my studio. It's one or the other.
So right now you're in your studio.
Yeah, yeah. Came in.
Someone said very baldy. Jeff, what do you mean that we're all bald here? We're all shaving our
Yeah.
head? Yes, that's what's happening.
At some point, I was just like, it's going away. Like,
Is that because you were losing hair and you were like, fuck this? Like Michael Jordan, let's be honest. Michael Jordan
yeah,
was balding. I
yeah,
mean, Kareem, Michael, you just shave your head. You got a good shaped head. You got a good shaped head. Your head looks
yeah.
great.
Actually, I used to be way too much into my hair when I was younger. So when I was 20 and I started painting, I actually full head of hair, shaved it off, but I didn't realize it till now. I'm, 37. I'm so glad I got ahead of it because now I'll still look like I was 20 when I shave my head, same haircut.
So you're starting to lose your hair, you're saying?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
I mean, I
okay.
still got to
Well, you
shave
can't
it,
even
but
tell. That's the thing. That's what's great.
yeah.
Okay, guys.
It's funny though. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you did. No,
Oh
keep
yeah,
going
I
about.
always get hit up by these people who do like the head tattoos. They do like they try to make you look like you have follicles. I'm like, no, man, just own it. If you're bald, just embrace it.
Yeah, it's totally fine. It's more comfortable for me. I have
Yeah,
my hair, but it's just easier to shave.
yeah,
Okay, guys, listen. We have David Garibaldi on. Uh, Someone just said BUA and David Garibaldi collab. Yes, maybe, perhaps. Yes, who knows?
you never
But
know.
let's get into the history of David Garibaldi and BUA
Yep,
because we have a
yep,
long history,
we do.
um,
We do.
and it's not all positive,
No,
guys. So this is the real shit. And actually, I haven't really even talked to you about anything
yeah,
uh, about this stuff in years.
yeah.
Um,
And by the way, you
but
guys, this
so
is this is like an open source therapy right now. We're letting you guys in on our conversation about this because you're right. We've known each other for a long time, and
how long?
I mean, I started painting in 2003. I started putting my work out there 2003, 2004. So, I mean, I think, we can even start there. That's where I think we first connected was in 2003.
I was getting hit up by you through I don't even know, was it social media or emails? It was like emails.
It was probably email. Yeah. I think maybe I reached out through your website.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So then I got some emails from this kid. I mean,
Yeah.
2004, how old were you?
Oh my, I was 20 years old. I was
Okay,
17
you're 20
years
years
ago.
old.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 37, so 47. Okay, I'm 13, 14,
Yeah.
15 years older than you.
Yeah.
So this kid's reaching out to me. I'm 34 years old, whatever. And I look at his work and uh, I really thought he had a lot of talent. And at that time, David, I believe around that time I was art directing EA Sports NFL
Yeah.
Street.
You were.
I had done NBA Street. By the way, I created all those characters, which
Yeah.
became $1 billion enterprise, and I got the worst paycheck ever. That was the first time around. That was a big mistake. But that's
Many
okay. I was
lessons.
also green and young.
Yeah.
So then David's work, I had to hire a bunch of guys to do screensavers. And David was so talented and so young and hungry. You really look for people who are hungry and not just talent, but people who really have the good, who have a really intense drive to
Yeah.
deliver. And David, I believe you did the best screensaver on that game. I don't know if I ever told you that.
Not, I did not know that. No, but thank you though.
But
Thank you.
but you definitely did the best screensaver. I hired a bunch of people for that.
Which, by the
And
way,
you
that was a unique concept, and I'm sure we'll get into this later, but for opportunities for artists, for someone like you to pull in different artists, for me at that time, that was a lifesaver. Like, we actually got paid to do that. I got a check from EA Sports. I just started painting, and I'm like, and then I'm working with you. That to me at that time in 2003, like that was the probably the biggest push I had to think, okay, I think I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I don't know if you knew that, but like just from the artist perspective, it was life changing.
Good. Then, thank you, by the way. Then um, David goes off into the throes of his career, and I continue my career. And at that time, I'm selling more prints than any other living artist. I've cultivated this, you know, my style, and a distributor. We don't even have to name his name, but we're actually really good friends now, which is really
Yeah.
funny, right? I talk to him
Yeah.
all the time. So he's like, hey, we want to do your stuff. And my old distributor's like, you can't use this stuff.
Yeah.
So from what I'm understanding, they've contacted you to create stuff for them. Whether they've said, hey, we want you to be BUA, we want you to do this subject matter, I don't know. But I'd like to hear your side of it, because
Yes.
I'm hearing from everybody like, yo, BUA, you're getting ripped off. There's this young
Yeah.
artist, David Garibaldi, he's ripping you off. Not
Yeah.
knowing even that it was that district, well, I would say his name, George. I didn't even know that it was George at that time.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. All I know is, oh, and you know, to this day, people are like, man, I love your DJ Jewel. And I'm like, that's not my DJ Jewel. That's David Garibaldi,
Yeah.
which is good because
So,
listen,
yeah.
before you even talk,
Yeah.
everybody's influenced by everybody. I mean, I'm influenced by Ernie Barnes, Thomas Hart Benton, and, you know, like, especially when you're young, you're
Yeah.
really, you know, there's a couple of guys you probably never heard of. One of them was named Matt Mahern. And I really was a facsimile of his style when I first graduated Art Center. And Matt Mahern, Brad Holland, I was just doing their shit. And I was like, it took me a while to do, like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I doing that? And I started painting the narratives of hip hop in my style, whatever. But I want to know your side of the story, because I was really pissed
Yeah.
that
I know.
that people were pissed. Yeah, I was fucking pissed that, like, David was what I thought at the time stealing my style. Now I cared nothing, but at the time, you know, it was very. I thought it was an egregious, like, theft.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so yeah, that's very interesting you brought that up. So in 2003, just a little backstory, I had, you know, lost my job, lost my car, lost everything. I was evicted from my apartment, living at my dad's, and I was thinking, okay, this was the beginning of my journey. Before that, I had grown up playing music, playing the trumpet from third grade on. I was into like breakdancing in high school and graffiti before that. So my background, originally, my influences were like animation, figure drawing, mixed with jazz and so on. And then I started getting into painting, and my first live paintings were at these live jazz sessions in Sacramento. So it was this place called Fox and Goose. Started painting live, and I'm like, okay, still, I had never even thought about publishing yet. I just was like, this is what I'm inspired by. This is what I love to create. It's happening naturally. And so as time goes on, there's no way you couldn't miss at that time a Justin BUA print at any poster store. At the time, you know, poster stores were everywhere. They were like record stores for, you know, putting art in your home. So, you know, you've got like the number one selling artist just everywhere, and naturally. And I'm thinking, okay, this is someone who I am inspired by. I look up to. He has a similar inspiration background. So that was even before I ended up thinking about publishing. So time went on. I would say later on that year or the following year, a friend of mine says, hey, I'm going to be at New York at this expo. It's called the Art Expo in New York. He's like, I don't know if you ever thought about publishing your work, but it's like getting a record deal for a painter, an artist. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I was like, I can't afford to go to New York. So he's like, look, I will buy your ticket. You have to pay me back. But he flies me out to New York. I go out there and I'm in like hustle mode. I'm like, you're right, young and hungry. So we go out to New York. I go to the Art Expo, and I just start working the floor for 3 days, just figuring out what is the art world like. And that world is not really like I wouldn't even call it highbrow art. It's like, you know, publishers who want to, you know, take on an artist and make their dreams come true and create limited editions and so on. So
And then rip
I
them off.
browse
Yeah,
through
of course.
and I
Yeah.
meet
George, it's fine to say
exactly.
George. It's
I meet
fine.
George.
George is a great guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
there's no,
and yeah,
everybody's a
yeah,
businessman.
George's
So
great.
yeah,
The
you
whole
meet
group is great.
George.
Yeah, so I made these like pamphlets of my work. I was like a threefold, pamphlet. I go to their booth and I said, hey, I introduced myself, and he says, hey, we're based in San Francisco. You should come by the office when we're all back. So cool. 2 weeks after that, we go to image contest. My father and I go there. We meet with George, meet with their staff, and I'm like, look, I want to be a published artist. And so naturally the conversation comes up about your work, but also I expanded on that and I said, that he's amazing, but this is to me coming up, there was a genre of like urban jazz, hip hop themes. I would put you at the top, but there was, Frank Morrison at the time, Kadir
Frank's
Nelson.
fantastic.
And so I'm,
Kadir, Frank.
yeah,
Um, I started before both of them. I love Frank. Frank's incredible, actually, and
yeah,
Kadir is actually really incredible too.
yeah. And
Kadir's a little not to. I don't want to interrupt your story, but I met Kadir on Amistad when he was doing development work for Spielberg
yeah,
over there at DreamWorks. But anyway, both
yeah,
great artists, both really good
yes.
artists. Yes.
And obviously the inspiration from Ernie Barnes as well. So I told him, I was
Yeah.
like, that's great, but my upbringing was music, jazz, hip hop. That's what I'm creating. And so, I just started creating. They would put it out, and so I think at some point, I think maybe a year or two into it, they started doing well, and then, that's when I think you and your team reached out, and
And we
for
were
my
not reaching out in a positive way. We were reaching out
no,
in a very pissed off lawyer way. It was not
yeah,
nice.
yeah. So at the time, I'm thinking to myself, I can't change my inspirations. Life outside of art, which was breakdancing, it was jazz, it was how I was creating, which was live, which eventually we'll get to what led me to what I do today. And and so for me at the time, I'm like, this was an awakening to this world that I was getting into, but also, I think out of respect for you too, just I had to listen because it doesn't matter from my perspective. I had to know that from your perspective, without any backstory, that's how you felt, and I respected that perspective. I just don't think we had the conversation about how that all happened.
Yeah,
Where
did
my
George
original
ask you like, I want to create urban stuff? Like, I want to
never.
DJ. I want no. You were just like, I'm just doing it
I
and
was like,
publish me.
I'm gonna bring you stuff because if you see more of the work that I did, definitely the female DJ was a popular one, but like Bounce Rock Skate, which was like a roller skating one. Me growing up roller skating, doing that, and some other ones like Roof Party, where it was a more of a landscape, or, city scene. So these are things that I just brought to them, and I would say this: they definitely were like, yes, no, yes, no.
Right,
I was
right.
bringing a ton of shit. I would just be just at home in my bedroom, busting it out. I drive it to San Francisco with like literally at the time, my girlfriend at the time. I would drive her car because I had no car. Paintings in my trunk, hoping like I hope they like one of them, and they kind of just chose what they wanted based on what I brought. So I would say whatever their intention were, and I now being more aware, they may have had different intentions on what they picked and chose for me. But
Yeah.
for me, I was just trying
Well,
to make
I
it.
well, I think from their perspective, and this is all complicated because you really know nothing until you have 2020 hindsight.
Yeah,
But I think the reality is they were like, we're not able to carry BUA because at that time I was distributed by actually myself, but
yeah,
before that was Bruce Teleke, and Bruce never gave George the rights to do my stuff.
yeah,
So invariably, they were looking for other means of getting to the urban market.
yeah.
I think Frank Morrison was with Bruce.
So I'm gonna let you in on a backstory real quick about
Okay,
Bruce. I don't know your relationship with him, but
he's
we're
nuts.
I'm just sharing it right now. So when he heard, I don't know how he heard about me talking to George. Bruce reached out and he's like, I published BUA. I know you want to be at that level. I'm like, and I told him, I was like, that's too close. Like to me, I'm not comfortable with that. Even at that
Okay,
young age, I was like, at the time, if you were to think about it like a record label, and they're like, come over here to our label. We
right.
produce the person who inspired you. To me, I was like, I'm not comfortable. That's way too close to home, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make up for whatever BUA doesn't do. I want to do me. So
Right.
that was a little backstory. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. Bruce is crazy.
that's interesting. No, Bruce is crazy, dude. Bruce is crazy. But here, the good thing about Bruce is he got me out to the world, and you know, you don't know whether I ever got paid for it or not. I don't think so, quite honestly.
Yeah.
But he got me, the trajectory of him getting me to the mainstream. You have to remember, David, I've been doing Prince. I was doing Prince with Bruce in '93 when I was a baby coming out, right out of college, I think first year.
Yeah.
I had, this is a crazy story. I was like, well, what am I going to do? I was doing record covers. I drew really well, so I was doing storyboards for the for commercials, music videos, and we're going to circle back to your story in a minute. But just a little, people need to know about Bruce Teleke because Bruce Teleke is an icon in the publishing world, as George is too.
Yeah.
But Bruce was crazy. He used to do Romar Bearden, who's like one of the greatest artists ever. Frank Morrison, me, a million people. He did everybody, but he found my work because my mom's, at that time, I was like, I got to get my other work out there, you know, and I was doing skate decks for New Deal skateboards. And I said, Mom, I was asking my mom, like, is there anybody you think would, well, you know, like my stuff? Because I'm tired of drawing. I want to paint. So let me talk to my friend Don, and Don, who had recently passed away, sent my work to Bruce Teleke. He called me immediately, and he sounded a lot like Woody Allen. He was like, you know, like I don't know where this is going to going, but there's a freshness and energy, like you know, like you know, a certain like vitality of urbanness, and if you want, you know, I think that we could do big things. It could you know, look, I'm not going to guarantee, but it could be big. So he did Piano Man 1. He did Piano Man 1. Sold out like. By the way, I'm in Rocksteady. People keep mentioning that. Did you know that I just got down with Rocksteady yesterday with Crazy Legs put me in?
I did not know. I knew you were, obviously I knew you were from that world, but I didn't know about.
Everyone's like Rocksteady. They're all hilarious. So yeah, I'm in Rocksteady now. That's incredible. 40 years later.
That's legendary.
Thank you. So he's like, I really believe in your jazz. So I'm like, okay, I'm just doing my Piano Man 1, Piano Man 2, El Guitarrista, Jazz Trio, Sax Man, all of this work.
Legendary pieces, you know.
Thank you. Thank you. And they're selling well. So finally, in 2000, I said, Bruce, I need to do hip hop. He said, well, you know, we can't do that because no one's going to buy it. I go, oh, I don't care. Like I've been fucking making you money. I'm like, I don't know. I'm 15 posters in already, making Bruce a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know. You know, I'll do it. Like, you know, I'm not sure. But listen, if you do another piece and it, you know, it goes well, then you know we'll talk about it. So I did another piece. It went well. He let me do the DJ in 2000. It was released in 2001. And nobody bought it. And this is another reason why I was pissed at you, because I had put so much work into making sure hip hop was out in the world. No one wanted to do. Frank and Kadir were stylistically urban mannerists, but they weren't doing the narratives of hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, and coming from a b-boy and a graph writer background, I was like, this is going to sell. And Bruce was like, you know, I told you it didn't sell. You were wrong. And I was like, fuck, man, I was wrong. Like, I was embarrassed. And then a company in Canada named Imaginus, you know Imaginus in Canada?
I don't know.
They do all the college stuff. Okay. They started selling my stuff. It blew up. And to this day, I think we've sold over 13 million DJs. But nobody bought the DJ in America. And then everybody called up and said, we want that piece. That began. And then when the poster shops closed down, I rode the Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, corporate America stuff, because they were like, well, what's selling? And they were like, well, BUA's work sells. Who's BUA? Oh, he's the guy that does the DJ. And so all of the knocking on the doors, and Bruce did a lot of hard work too, because he was pushing it. Yeah. But it just never, it never cracked until 2000 and, oh God, man, I think 2002. Then it blew the doors open. And at that point, everyone was like, what do you got next? What do you know? Then I did 1981, the breakdance piece, et cetera, and so on. So
Yeah.
I had been doing it with Bruce for years. And then I took over my business because I didn't, I don't know. I'm not going
As
to say
most artists should, you know,
well,
we we don't learn
yeah,
that till
listen,
later
you
on.
and I have the same printer now, by the way, Real Color
Uh, I don't work exclusively with any
printer.
publishers.
But
Yeah.
no, I know, not publisher, but they print your work in torrents, no?
They may. I don't know, to be honest. I'm not sure who actually does
Okay.
the printing. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we got to talk about that offline because
Yeah.
they're printing the shit. No, but someone's doing it for you, right? So anyway,
Yeah.
so then that's what started the whole, someone said they want to see the Bob Marley bond. There you go. It's not an original, it's a print. This is a print on canvas. People are like, what's up with your Bob Marley? Okay.
Yeah.
So we were contentious, and then a couple years back, it was really just time kind of heals everything.
Yeah.
David first of all, went in a completely different direction. And quite honestly, I grew up and I didn't really care because I realized that, life is too short and too ridiculous to worry about silly internalized feuds. And remember, the legacy of Garibaldi and myself is that as he was writing to me as an inspired young man, as a fan, I was taken by his hunger for art and his love of art, and hired him for the EA Sports, for anyone coming on now, for EA Sports NFL Street to do a screensaver, which he did the best job of anyone who did that job.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Actually, I just want to add to that too, before we get into like where things went after that. That time when I was creating, let's just call it studio work, it was derived from what I was creating live. Say I would do these live paintings that were 3 to 4 feet in size and 30 minutes or so at these live events. And then during that time, not only did I get into the studio work, but also I had been inspired by Denny Dent as well, which I'm sure we'll get into in that same period. So it was like, where's this gonna go? I had no idea yet where life would go at some point after that.
and then is that what made because I see now, and I see the inspiration from Denny Dent. And I don't think a lot of people know Denny Dent because that was pre-digital age.
Yeah.
But Denny Dent was a very good live New York painter, right?
He was originally from the West Coast, eventually settled in Denver, but he started performance painting. The style that he did it in, and the people that came after them, I would say I'm from that lineage of style.
Yes.
He was a rock star on stage before his time. He was what's the word? Savant? Is that the right word for it?
Well, you could say idiot savant, but yeah, he was an idiot savant probably. So
Yeah,
he was autistic or something, where he was just he was really good.
He was
I just
amazing.
seen videos of him.
Yeah, he was a crazy man. But he also had a student after him, his one student, Brian Olson, who I got to get to know because Denny Dent passed away in 2005. So I never got to meet or talk to him, but I got to know Brian. And unfortunately, Brian just passed away earlier this year. Rest in peace. But, those two guys, they kind of, again, paved the way for artists like myself, as you did, for, hip hop art in a sense of being published. These are people who were just before their time, when no one else is doing it. But yeah,
Okay.
Anyways, during that time, transitioning from live studio art into the performance.
Okay, everyone's saying we're going to need a part 2 of this art talk. Yes, we are, because usually I draw with everybody. Let me show you what I did yesterday, just as a little moment of artistic.
I saw that.
I had on my buddy Rhett Maddock, from the Beat Junkies, and I did a painting of him.
That's dope.
Fucking fast. Jesus, how fucking fast and annoying that was to paint.
How fast did you do that?
I did that in probably, what do you think, Akira? That my daughter's here. Say hi.
Hello.
She 45 minutes.
Yeah. Do you like working fast, or do you prefer to take your
No,
time?
that getting a likeness of Rhett Maddock, because Jesus, it's I want a little study time, but now I guess I like working a la prima. I know you work fast.
Yeah.
And then I have a million questions about how you work, and I think we probably need a part two so that you and I could draw together on.
Yeah.
Rome says hi, and I don't owe you fucking dinner, Rome. Fuck you, dude. I take you out all the time, Rome. You cheap Filipino fuck. But I love you, Rome. You're my buddy. Rome's amazing. Johnny Utah, what's up? And everyone shouting out Rocksteady Crew. As you know, guys, Rocksteady Crew forever. Love you. Okay. So much to talk about. So,
Yeah.
your style now, I mean, is there secrets to what you're doing? In other words, how do you get a likeness of somebody? Are you pulling it? This is probably your number one question, right? Are you pulling it from your imagination?
Yeah.
Or do you have some shit underneath that only you could see because you're wearing a fluorescent eye goggles or some shit?
I wish it was that easy.
Okay, tell me how you do it.
Yeah, I will say this. I speed up the art process. So my ultimate goal is I want to make the art process entertaining in the amount of time it grabs the viewer's attention. So I would say this, for the first 5-6 years, I just memorized portraits. I was building my repertoire. So I would, in my studio, I'd have an image up on the wall, and I would break it down to shapes, and I would place these shapes, paint them on the canvas, and do them over and over again. That repetition came from learning choreography, learning dance, where you pull something, out of your mind, spirit, and you just do it over and over until it lives in you. So I would originally learn portraits like that. As time went on, as I started getting a lot busier, I had this foundation so that you could throw a portrait at me. It would take me a little bit longer, but I could take a look at you, go to the wall, and do it. And it depends. If it gets more complicated, if it's a really brand new complicated portrait, I may do a light sketch. If it's, if I have more time to practice, I'll practice over and over again. It really depends on the character of like what I really need to pull out, and also what the ultimate goal is, to entertain people or to just take my time. So a lot of stuff I do in the studio where I take my time, where it's a 10-15 minute painting, that's like a freestyle. Like
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
So
I mean,
I
10,
think
15 minutes is crazy. That's
I think that,
fast.
like, and here there's a lot of tricks too, where I study a lot. So I research images for probably hours before I even do a 6-minute portrait. I mix the music for hours before I do a 6-minute portrait. And then even on stage where I have things set up, I can move away. I can move around in a way that I can move quickly as well. So that's, again, all tricks per se that I learned over time. But it's just like anything, it takes practice. I always challenge anyone. I'm like, just try it and let me know what you come up with, because someone else may come with a different technique than I've tried in the past.
Well, before I comment on that, because I have a lot to say about it, I just pinned my friend's comment, El Tigre Vacano, probably the most famous person in the Dominican Republic. He says, it's so weird that I'm in my underwear watching this. And then he said before that, do you remember in 1983 when I burned 8 guys from Connecticut in Rocksteady Park? Yes, I do remember that day very well. I destroyed them. Anyway.
By the way, you should just keep this pinned on here just for the rest of it. Just memorialize it forever now.
I am. I'm going to keep it pinned for now.
He's how we all feel, I'm not wearing any pants right now. No, I'm
kidding. I'm wearing, I'm actually wearing pants. So David, so in order to do, like, let's say you did Bob Marley. Right now, if you were to do Bob Marley, have you done him so many times that you could just do it out of your head?
Yeah. Bob, I would say, like, there's probably...
Like Einstein, Picasso, Bob Marley.
Yeah, there's probably, I don't know, 20 to 30 different ones that I could just do without studying it. There's probably another 20, 30 if I got a light practice one in. I could think, oh, okay, I remember that. That's the part that I'd struggle with. And then there's others where I just need more time to figure it out,
But you have to, for me, I have a problem drawing pretty women. Or I wouldn't say,
oh,
it takes me,
yeah,
I don't gravitate towards, I can do it from life because I draw from life. I was a classically trained figure drawer, and I taught figure drawing at USC for 12 years.
Yeah.
But when it comes out of my head, like, it's hard. Like, for example, okay, yeah, if it's from life, you got something like this, but
Yeah.
it's from life. Okay, so
Yeah.
then I start to create a woman out of my head, even from a photo, and I find it really difficult. So do you find things easier, like Einstein's easier, like an old man's always easy?
Yeah.
What? Why
So
is that?
imagine this. So my canvas is already shadow. I'm leaving the negative space behind.
Okay.
So the more negative space I can leave behind, the easier per se, I use that in quotes, to create the contrast of light, the
Hmm.
midtones, and then the shadows. The more shadows there are, I would say the easier, the more character, the more life there is in the portrait. Like the easier it is to look at the shape of your head, imagining the light from one side and capturing, you
Hmm.
know, the different colors where the light and shadow hits. When you start getting into, let's just say, a very beautiful woman who has great lighting,
Hmm.
a lot of light on, not a lot of shadow because makeup is actually supposed to take away the shadow. Then you're getting to more intricacies of every break in light. For example, I mean, the tones that are right next to the highlights, I start thinking about those tones, even the shadows around, let's just say an eyebrow. There's like these little tones of like dark red, like a really dark red or whatever the dark tone of their skin is. I try to capture those little things as well and everything in between. So those are way harder and take way more preparation than say an Einstein where there's just a ton of shadow that actually says who he is rather than adding light, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. We're getting a lot of do a painting of BUA. Have you
Yeah.
painted BUA? Will you paint BUA? Maybe one day he will.
Not yet, but I definitely we gotta add that to the list.
Um, okay, so is that how you make? Because also you're, and I understand this from a business side,
Mm-hmm.
but you've really become and always kind of have been. At first, you were probably a young hustler. I'm sure you made some mistakes in term.
More than I can count.
Right, exactly. You've tripped. You've probably lost a lot of money making those mistakes.
Of
A lot
course.
of money was there. It perhaps like a sieve, it slipped through your fingers
Mm-hmm.
uh, onto the floor. But do you think now? I mean, I feel like you're a good businessman. I see your work in merchandise, prints, live paintings. For a couple of questions, but where is your main source of revenue? Is it the
Yeah.
live paintings?
So it used to be before before all
Right. Yeah.
this.
Then I was thinking that was another
So
question. It's
yeah.
affected you, right?
So for the past 17 years, let's just say the 10 to round it off, I've done on average about 100 live shows a year around the world.
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
then and then add commissions, then
Okay.
add any special collaboration projects we've done with brands or just friends, people. And then on top of that, there's like the merchandise and all the other licensing, things like that. So so that also, having the stability of the live shows, I really didn't put a lot of energy into those other revenue streams, even though they were always there. This is what's been amazing about right now. And I think every artist really needs to take advantage of this time and attention that you have from people is I just shifted that same energy that I put into traveling every day, meeting these clients at these shows and being in front of 1,000 people, same energy into pivoting into doing stuff like this, giving more, I guess, to an insight into my life, doing more merchandise, which we're, coming out with now next week or so. And just, being able to pivot. But the thing is, you have to have the energy wherever you put it. Before it was live shows, 100 shows a year. Now I'm doing three live performances in my studio, which is probably more than what I did on the road, which still takes a lot of energy. But I would also add to this that I would be doing this in my garage, whether anyone was watching or not. And that's also another thing that I've come to have an awakening about during this time, which is forget the business. What do I actually love? I love being covered in sweat and paint all day long. Like after this, I'm gonna go get ready for my live and just go get covered in paint and sweat. So, you know, I think that ultimately it's like how do you sustain doing what you love? And one of those avenues for me was doing the performance, and then and so on. It's whatever revenue stream we could be creatively and think about, and also what do you want to put the energy into at the same time.
First of
I,
all, shout out to your mom, because your mom said this is
oh,
David's mom, and I pinned it. I'm enjoying this so much. Two amazing artists here. Thank you.
that's very
That's
sweet.
that's cool.
You just made her day. I don't even do that for her. She's gonna be
Listen,
like, well, BUA pinned my comments.
I can't get my mom on any. You know.
I can't get my mom off.
Oh, really? That's a whole other world. But yeah, I
I
can't.
love
My
you,
mom is my
By the
mom.
way, if you guys are watching this, shout out, just say hi, mom. She'll love it. So
Yeah, everyone's saying hi, mom.
yeah.
Hi, mom. Scotland. Scotland says hi. Scott's McFadden, my buddy in Scotland. He says hi. So right now, so your main thing is it, what is it? Is it live painting, which is now obviously no longer temporarily,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what so you've lost a lot of gigs, but those will come back.
Yeah.
And
I'm not, this is what I think about it. Like, I think whatever you put your energy into, if I was like, look, I'm going to go put energy into putting job applications in, I'm going to go get the best job I can. If I'm going to put energy into, actually, I'll tell you one thing. One thing I did because of all this, which I didn't have time for before, was to create an inventory of my art. Before, you could never find my art. It was stacked up in a corner, all rolled up. We have hundreds of paintings from past shows and lives. So what we did within 3 days is we inventoried everything. And so
you did that in
now
3 days?
we did it in 3
Whoever you have,
days.
send them to my studio. I've got.
It was me.
Forget it. You?
Yes, I have.
Dude, I got stuff forget it. Storage facilities, art storage, studio. Forget it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I can't find anything.
We inventoried 300 paintings in a few days, and then I would go back and kind of like fix some information in there. But just that alone, we get inquiries now daily on just original art, and even, just other commissions and things like that. Again, things that I didn't put energy into, and it just comes down to like, what do you want to put your energy into? Deciding that, and then just going full force into it. But that's also just enjoying the process at the same time.
Greg 36, I might take you up on inventorying my shit, but it involves.
Actually, Naked Dave 68 said he'll do it. He's actually been my road manager for the past 9 years, so he's available. He can. Are
you born in 68? Is that why he's 68?
I don't know. He's pretty old.
Is he 52? Because that's.
He is, yes, but he's like young at heart though. He's like the biggest kid.
Oh yeah, of course. Okay, so we'll talk about that. For free. Well, now he's upping Dave because he's saying for free. My thing is that, like, I need to do provenance on my work because it's all over the place. Yeah. And like the way that they do it at Christie's is they have a completely different system. If like I do, let's say I die tomorrow. What is God forbid, but let's say I did. People would need to know, like, what month was that? What year was that? When did he do that? I mean, it's just like, that's the kind of stuff. And I don't inventory everything. And like, for example, I drew Popping John the other day, and who knows what's going to happen to that drawing in my studio. I was doing a drawing with Kubert. Here, I have an original, Kobe painting there, and, I track it. I'm getting way better at it, but it is very hard.
It's very hard
to track everything.
Even now, so now since I did that, every live that I do, I take a photo. As soon as I'm done, I add it to the inventory, and I'm just creating a new habit now. I didn't do this before. Don't think I did this forever, but I also thought about that too. I was like, if God forbid, something happened to me tomorrow, I look at paintings that are not sold is money for my kids later on. It's like everything you create is you're printing something for your legacy. And so I want them to be able to, just have some sort of organized mess in the event something happened to me. And also just, presenting it to people now, people who reach out. They're like, I don't have any sketches up, but I've been thinking about, I have piles of studies that could just be, let's just say, legacy money in the bank. Not whether it's for me or whether it's for my grandkids. It's just something put away for them, per se.
For sure. I mean, it's like, you know, some of my iconic work, I'm not going to sell the DJ unless someone wants to pay me $14 million for it.
Yeah.
Offer standing out
You
there.
know what? Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised.
Hey, David, so you working, you said you have a road manager. What is your, tell me about the infrastructure of David Garibaldi Studios. It's
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
who
So
else?
I would say before all this, you know, on a day-to-day basis, there's, you know, always me. There's always a studio assistant that's helping prep materials either to go on the road or when I come in to have things ready to go.
Okay.
Uh, my tour manager, so that's always one person that travels with me everywhere. So what they do is they imagine 100 clients a year that you have to, you know, manage, you know, travel details. So they're managing all the details for the live shows. They travel with me, they set things up, they break it down. They're like my right hand person. We have another person that just does advancing. So they're just on the phone. So that's Dave, Naked Dave on there. He does all the advancing. He's calling clients ahead of time. Like he's probably maybe in a month or so, he'll start advancing our fall dates, which is when we
Okay.
expect.
So David, so Naked Dave, he books you.
No, so Naked Dave just, I love that we refer to him as Naked Dave. He just does advancing. So advancing is, it's already booked, and I'll get to that part. It's
Okay.
already booked, and he's just making sure the details again are taken care of from the per the contract. So before that, my agent, who's based in New York, Ryan Soroka, he just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Ryan. He is my booking agent. So we get a ton of inquiries throughout the year. He sifts through them. He presents, he kind of works deals. He presents it to me and says, do you want to do this? I either approve or deny or adjust. And then, you know, that goes on from there. And then I would say, I mean, that's really the solid team, you know, whether it's, whether we're busy or not, that's always those roles.
It always goes up and down, right? But it
Of
seems like you're
course.
busy just because of the nature of what you do, and you've kind of cemented yourself into the, you know, into the live art guy. Like people know you as the live art guy,
Yeah.
and that's a cool thing to have. And by the way, Rome Diggs, you should reach out to Garibaldi because he's the one that books all. You know, Rome was looking for somebody and
Okay.
talking to her.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but not like you need it.
Reach
And
out,
now
Ron.
is not the time. Is there any other endeavors right now that you are working on? Obviously, this is a time for
Yeah.
just really getting your stuff together, getting your things lined up, your I's dotted, your T's crossed, your A to Z's figured out with the provenance of your work. What
Yeah.
else are you doing? Are there any
So
books? Are there any what's going on behind the
yeah,
scenes?
yeah. I mean, one of the major things that we launched a few years ago was a nonprofit called Creator X. So I thought about, you know, I had this animation teacher in high school that changed my life, and he sent a lot of students off to go to Cal Arts and work for, you know, major motion picture studios and animation studios. And I thought, you know, why don't we introduce kids who are mostly underprivileged and are not exposed to the the jobs that are available in arts, media, and entertainment. So we launched Creator X a few years ago. We did a summer camp every summer. And so since that's not happening this summer, we are just working on how do we make it available online? How do we get our instructors from Pixar to provide curriculum for free for our students?
Mm,
Like, so there's a lot of that happening, you know, so that we can still go forward with that. I would say for my own work, you know, I'll be very honest. I'm taking a much needed break. Like I feel so much more clear right now by not working on what's next, because
yeah.
there's always the next, you know, book that I want to work on, or project. And you know, we just moved into the studio a month ago, and I've just had time to just stop and breathe and think.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I would say what I'm mostly working on these the big ideas, you know, who do I want to be in 5, 10 years from now? And just starting as if this is day one. And that's why I feel so hungry right now to keep building on what we've done, but I don't have to travel and,
That's
you know,
nice.
be pulled everywhere. So, yeah, I would add to that, um, I would love to share more about my process, and whether that comes in a form of an online class, if it's you know, something that's free or paid for, I don't know yet. I just know I want to share more about
Okay.
how I create.
Okay. So I always ask these questions, and I think we should do, David, if you're open to it, doing another one next week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm open to doing a collaboration with David because every fucking person's asking me, and I'm open to doing that. I don't know what we would do, David, but
Yeah.
I feel like we could send it back and forth, and
You know what we
eventually,
could do? We
what
could
could we do?
do like, yeah, you know how I was talking about how like half the face, you know, there's like shadow on one side. Let's
Mm,
just say I do your portrait. I leave half the, you know, the shadow on the other side available for you. I work on one side. You do the same thing. We swap, leave a background open, and just start there.
we could do that. That sounds cool. It sounds very fine art.
That's very artsy. Yes.
Yes, very fine art.
Or
Have you, before we get into my questions I ask everybody, have
yeah,
you, like myself, been in a lot of ways shunned by the elite art world, the world that perhaps thinks what we do, what even Kadir Nelson and Frank Morrison, and people who are not accepted into the highbrow, insular ivory tower art community, the the de Kooning, the Jasper Johns,
yeah,
the Warhol, the Basquiat, the Jeff Koons,
yeah,
and in many way, you know, Shepard Fairey, Banksy, Cause. Have you feel like you? Because I personally feel like they've shunned me, but
yeah.
for perhaps different reasons. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I've never felt comfortable in that world. I don't feel like I feel like outside of the performance, I don't think that I'm really understood by that world. So I never was able to really relate to it. So I never chased it. I never
Yeah.
wanted to be a part of it. And the beauty of the world we live in today is we can create our own worlds. We are we can create our own art world. You know, with our stories, you know, our brand, what we choose to offer or not. Um, so I just, yeah, I don't particularly fuck with them. I'm
Yeah.
good. So
Well, because and Kenjo, you know, Kenjo Leinart says this, and it's true. It's because if you're popular, I was very much ridiculed for selling work to Target, to
mm-hmm.
Burlington Coat Factory, Bed Bath and Beyond, Z Gallery. Dude, I remember walking into a Blockbuster and seeing your work at
Yeah,
Blockbuster.
yeah,
So like, I remember that, and you know, you get ridiculed for being commercially successful, yet you could see a Van Gogh, Starry Night, right? Or a
on a tote
Monet,
bag.
yeah, on a tote bag at Walmart.
Yeah,
But because they're dead, it's more acceptable. And now you're
yeah,
seeing artists who are chasing that,
yeah.
which is really weird because you know, I was heading that way, and then
Uh-huh.
I was like, I'm not selling to my people, and so,
Yeah,
and it's funny because my friend is lectures at Christie's and Sotheby's, and she always talks about my work. But it's weird that world. So I've been able to circumvent that by having collectors all across the economic stratosphere. Some
yeah,
people who collect my work who are actual billionaires, literal
yeah.
billionaires, and some people who, you know, can afford what they can
They
afford.
saved up. Yeah, to buy
They
it.
saved up, right? Like I can pay you an installment of $5 a year for until I'm dead or whatever.
Yeah,
But no, it's true. But and
yeah,
thank God for people because the art world, the ivory tower art world, which we know is unregulated and in many ways criminal,
yeah,
um, really doesn't pay attention to people who they're not investing stock in.
yeah.
You know,
I
and that's the
think
truth.
that, you know, I think that while you're alive, tell your story. You know, tell it as much as you can so that eventually when we do pass on, you know, either your story is solidified that it can be continually be told later on, or you've set the standard and said, look, I care about people. So even when I pass, find a way that my art can still connect with all people of all, you know, cities and countries. I think with you too, you probably know this from traveling the world, you realize how much art connects with everyone. And I would hate to limit that to just an elite crowd who really doesn't give a shit about things that
Yeah.
I care about.
And that's important too. A lot of people in that world, they care more about what can I flip it for down the road? What is
Yeah.
the value of it? And it just is the way that is.
Yeah.
So here's a couple questions for you,
All right.
David. What is your favorite color?
Black.
Interesting. I said that the other day. That someone said, "Well, I can't say black." Who said that?
I'm gonna say it.
Afion. That's what Afion Crockett. He said it's not a color. It's the because in science it's the absence of color, but absolutely it's a color. 100%. Great.
Yeah.
I love
Also,
black.
I
Obviously
like it.
black, right?
Yeah, well,
Because your
I
whole
like it.
your canvases are black.
I see possibilities. When I see black, it's a canvas. So I
Mm.
love black. I'll let the argument go on about whether it's color or not, but that's my
No,
favorite.
it's a color. Okay,
Yeah.
good. David, who is your favorite artist of all time?
Oh,
Don't say me. We already know that. That's obvious. But who else?
Al Hirschfeld, the illustrator.
Ooh,
Just a free.
great, 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 great. I met Al Hirschfeld one time in New York
Yeah.
City. Yeah,
Man,
Al
can I have a
Hirschfeld.
second though?
Yes,
Leroy Neiman. I love
I could see
Leroy
that.
Neiman's color. Just he was a colorist. I loved his impressionism of pop culture.
You basically you like Jewish artists from New York who are dead. That's
That's my
basically
thing.
what you're choosing.
That's my thing.
Yeah. Okay. And then David, what do you think your greatest contribution to the world has been thus far?
Um, I would hope it'd be my kids. I hope my kids can be human beings that leave a better mark than I can. So I'm gonna go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should definitely get into a part two because there's so much going on, and as long as there's as long as everything is shut down, do you
Yeah.
think that this is going to lift mid-May, like they say? I mean, what's Sacramento like? Because I just walked
Yeah.
to Echo Park in LA, and there
Yeah.
was a ton of people in the park. I mean, there's
Yeah.
people wearing masks, people not wearing masks, but I felt like the energy had shifted a little bit because I was like, whoa, it just
Yeah.
feels different. Like there's a lot of people out.
Sacramento is definitely shut down for the most part. I would say. I also, if it's not, I wouldn't know because I stay inside. I shut out the noise. I don't really watch the news. I used to watch the news all the time. I don't watch it as much
Same.
anymore. I get updates and then I'm out.
Yeah, me
Uh,
too. It's
but
too much.
I would say this. Here's the thing. Imagine if it was shut down the rest of the year, and still ask yourself, what value could I add to the world with whatever limited time or resources I have? That's my particular challenge for myself. And so I'm just going to keep that in mind. If I never had to travel a day again in my life, how could I still help, with philanthropy? How could I still create artwork that I'm inspired by? So I don't know whether it's going to get lifted or not. I just know we're in a different world for sure from this point on. Even if live shows come back in a year, it won't be the same vibe that it was before. So
People are going to be a little bit more vigilant, a little bit more trepidatious, and
yeah,
a lot of people who have anxiety over it too. They're not going to just. I feel like you're right about that. I feel like restaurants will kind of start popping in mid-May,
yeah,
but live events, I mean, I don't see that happening for another six months to a year. Like,
yeah,
and big events, I don't know.
yeah.
I mean,
I,
and that me, I'm depressed because I'm a big UFC fan. So, and I know
I
you are
that's
too.
right. Yeah, yeah.
We
No, I
share
know
a couple
you're.
of friends, Uriah Faber, and a couple
Yeah,
of people who are friends.
yeah.
That's
So
it depresses me, but I just feel like it's pretty realistic. I mean, people are going to take a long time to figure it out.
yeah, but I'm gonna leave that to people who are a lot smarter than me to figure that out. In the meantime, I'm gonna enjoy just some peace, some awakening, and then just put that to work in this time.
Someone said restaurants will not be popping. I mean, I think that restaurants will start way
Yeah.
before live events. That's my point. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It'll probably be the tables will be spaced apart, is
Yeah.
what will happen.
I'll tell you this though. There's one thing I don't miss, which is laundry, because I wear like just house clothes all the time now. But the other thing I do miss you know, being in social situations, even if it's just like at my studio
Yeah.
or at someone's house. I don't really care to be at a restaurant, but I really miss the energy of people. And I do think the first time that we all do feel comfortable, I think it's going to be a crazy embrace of each other. And I think we're going to put a lot of differences aside because of it. And I hope we do at least.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I miss coffee shops. I miss going to
Yeah.
coffee shops with my cup of coffee and drawing. I
Yeah.
love doing that. I love sitting at a coffee shop and drawing the interesting characters around the world, from Paris to New York to LA. That's what I miss more than anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, like we need that. We need that social interaction. It's nice to have your family, your kids, but just a new energetic vibration to
Yeah.
uplift and inspire is good.
And we're also, you know, we're inspired by life. You draw from life, you pull from life. And right now, we're trying to find inspiration in different ways because there's not the life there to be inspired by. So that's another interesting challenge too, is finding inspiration through new means, you know, through, I have a lot of books here that I've been reading to, or even just picture books, coloring books,
And
to videos.
that was my other question. What is your favorite book?
I really loved the it's James Pressfield. It's the War of Art. Was I don't read a lot, but that was the one
Okay.
that I did read. It was one, it reaffirmed some things, and two, it challenged me cerebrally. How do you say that? Cerebrally.
Cerebrally, yeah, that's right.
Uh, as an artist, just to think beyond my circumstances.
And your favorite movie, David?
Mm. Oh, Fantasia 2000, which is a collection of videos, but it's music, it's sound and color. It's one of my
Wait, so
favorite.
it's the old Fantasia, the classic Fantasia?
Actually, I like that one, but the one in Fantasia 2000,
Yeah, what's
there's a
that?
piece in there called Rhapsody in Blue,
Okay.
and Al Hirschfeld was the designer of
Uh,
that piece. So it starts off with, it's beautiful. It starts off with one line, and then it just goes crazy, and it's about, you know, just people pursuing their passions as well. So it inspired me in high school on many levels. Still one of my all-time favorites.
okay, David. Well, as you now know, David and I are going to do a collaboration. We're going to figure it out. I'm going to have David on here shortly again.
Yeah.
This was amazing, David. I love you. I have.
Likewise, I love you, brother.
We have very tell me you love me.
I love you.
See that? That's great.
Yeah, and also
We
I had
very
to thank you for reaching out. You know, I didn't know how I was gonna go, but I was just open to whatever, and I
and I
appreciate you.
appreciate that, bro. That alone told me everything, and I knew it was going to be great. You were like, "Yeah, let's do it." I was like,
Yeah,
"That's courage."
I
You
don't
know,
need a
courage.
pre-combo.
Think about
Yeah,
courage. Corps in French is heart. Courage. Courage is heart. So I knew right away. I was like, "Oh, he's good. Like we're good." And I'm good, and we're good. We buried the hatchet. Honestly, I think we buried the hatchet a long time ago, but we officially did it
yeah.
today. Thank you,
In
Dave.
front of
I do.
everyone, our
In
therapy
fr-
session. I like it.
yes, exactly. And I can't wait to do something with you, creative man. And when this lifts, whether we have to send it back and forth or we do
Let's
it in
do a part
person.
two. Let's do a part two though, and we got to draw together on the next one. We definitely have to do
Yes,
that
let's.
because
That's next week.
I want to show you, you know, I want to see your line work as much as I want to show you my line work as well. So let's do that next time.
I'm 100% in, bro. Love you,
All
man.
right. Blessings to you and
Thank you,
your family.
everybody. Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone. Peace.
Bye.